They don't learn anything else from me. I want them to always be able to say that my mom showed me that I can be and do whatever I want to be, and I don't have to go with the traditional narrative. That's the most important thing for me.
Welcome to This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief. I'm Loryn Denise, just your average millennial out here trying to have a conversation about a taboo topic that nobody wants to talk about. It's important to know that grief doesn't just happen when you lose someone. It can happen at any moment in your life. And it doesn't have to be all bad. It can actually be a really beautiful process. And as a millennial who had to process her own grief, I knew it was important to bring a more lighthearted, fresh perspective and create a safe space to discuss a topic that is typically uneasy. As I always like to say, we like to talk about the real of grief, the whole grief, and nothing but the grief. This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief, starts now. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another week's episode of This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief. I'm just so excited to have you here. If this is your first time here, welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you so much for listening. And if you are coming back, thank you so much for coming back and listening again. On today's episode, we're going to be diving into the grief of carrying it all as a mother, or really the grief that comes, sometimes with motherhood and having to carry it all, right? Like, I didn't want to say the grief of being a mother because that's sounds terrible, right? But really that grief that comes with, just being a mom sometimes, like having to do it all, having to be superwoman, having to carry everything on your shoulders, right? Really, really all the things that come with being a mom, like all the beauties, all the joys, but also, what all that entails, right? And the grief that that can cause. And so I wanted to bring my very, very close friend on, my girl Cierra Seay, as you'll hear me lovingly call her. She is doing amazing things out here in the world of entrepreneurship. She has her own business and is helping people just making money, you know what I mean? And she is the mother of two boys. And I tell her all the time, I'm just watching her being superwoman, and I just look up to women like that in my life who are carrying it all, right? And the thing about C is that she also lost her mother at a young age, and so she's doing all that while navigating not having a mother, having that sounding board, right? And so I thought it was important to bring her on and to have the conversation because, I've said it before. You all know that I desire to, be married and have kids, right? And so, understanding kind of the dynamics that come with that, especially as someone who would have children and not have their mother there, right? Um, and just the different grief that that causes as well. And so I was doing some research. I know I love to do research, but I was doing some research and I wanted to see, what percentage of moms really struggle with like mommy guilt, right? Or like, feeling like they have to carry it all and have this kind of superwoman complex, right? And literally I've read like several articles, and it was between 90 and 94% of moms feel some type of mommy guilt, or feel like that they have to carry it all or be all, for everyone around them, not only their children. And so, again, like it's the amount of grief that can cause, right? Mommy guilt is some, causing that grief within yourself of like, dang, like I'm not doing enough, or I have no idea what I'm doing, or I'm doing too much, right? And so again, like if you're a mother, you're listening to this, first of all, I just want to say like you're amazing. I think moms are superheroes. Just being able to birth a child, number one, carry a child and birth a child is already just the woman body, like the female body, like to be able to, you literally grow a human inside of, like, as women we can grow, like we can grow people. What's your superpower? Like, as women, like just being able to grow someone and groom them and allow them to be the best version of themselves, like kudos to you, right? But just know that it's normal to feel a lot of those feelings. 90 to 94% of women feel that way, right? But that's why I wanted to bring C on to discuss it, discuss how you can kind of get rid of a little bit of that mommy guilt, right? And just showing you that you're doing the best that you can, right? You're doing the best that you can. And so we're gonna get into this short break. But I am just excited for you all to hear this conversation with me and my girl C. We also talk about some other things with life insurance and how important that is as well. So just be aware of that. But I think you guys are going to enjoy this episode. I think you're going to enjoy our conversation. So we're going to get into this break really quickly. And then right after this break, you're going to hear this amazing conversation with me and Cierra on the grief of carrying it all as a mother.
What's up, my love? I hope you are enjoying this episode. I just had to come to you really quickly to let you know about a brand new partnership that I have with Streamline Podcast, introducing to you the Podboxx. If you have ever thought about starting a podcast or a YouTube channel or anything like that, and you are struggling with what equipment to get, you don't know where to go, you have to get the Podboxx. You probably noticed this season I have some brand new equipment, and that was all inside of this Podboxx. Not only are they going to send you this microphone, this boom arm, and this pop filter, they're going to send you these noise canceling headphones as well. And they're going to send you all the necessary cables to plug it straight into your computer to make it happen. You're also going to get their easiest way to launch a podcast workbook. And not only that, you guys, they're going to literally professionally design your cover art for you to go into your directories and professionally produce your intro and outro for you for your podcast. Not only that, you're going to get an auto updating website. You're going to get Libsyn Pro services. You're going to get their 30-day social media launch calendar book. And you're also going to get 30 days of their post-production proven system that they have for free simply by getting this Podboxx. And guess what? Because you're a listener of This Too Shall Suck podcast, you're going to get $100 off. Yes, you're going to get $100 off simply by being a listener. All you have to do is either click the link below or click the link in the description. And you can also go to streamlinepodcast.com, type in code LWPBOXX, and you're going to get $100 off for all of that. Listen, it is time to start this podcast. You no longer have an excuse. You have literally the podcast in a box. It's time for you to get your story, your message, and your journey out there. Go to streamlinepodcast.com, type in LWPBOXX, or click the link in my description and type in the code. And let's get back into the episode.
All right, y'all, we are back, and I have one of my favorite girls in the building. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna try to act right on this one.
We're
I
gonna
can't
try.
we're gonna try. I can't make no promises. Okay, skin is melanated and glowing. Actually, let me read her bio because see, I'm already about to act up. So let me get into it. My girl, Cierra Seay, is an entrepreneur, sales, copy, and messaging expert. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, she's been writing and consulting her whole entire life. Her resume includes bylines from publications such as Double XL, Detroit News and Free Press, Ozone Magazine, and The Source. Cierra studied journalism and advertising at Michigan State University, but dropped out to follow her own path. Cierra discovered digital marketing and dove in headfirst into the industry, learning the ins and outs of internet marketing. She found her sweet spot in copywriting and email marketing, with certifications from distinguished digital marketing education platforms such as Digital Marketer and HubSpot. She's been able to carve out a specific niche in the industry. Cierra now works with the top coaches and consultants in the personal and business development space. She's worked with people like E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher, Marquell Russell, and countless others. She's helped her clients make well over $100 million with her copywriting and email marketing expertise. Her experience and success has allowed her to become a thought leader and highly sought after consultant in the space. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my girl C in the building.
I sound pretty smart. I
Uh,
impress myself a little bit. I sound like I know what I'm doing.
just a
Sound
teach,
like it.
just a teach,
Just a little bit.
just a little teach. You know what I'm saying? You might know what you know
I
making a
might.
hundred, just 100 milli. You know nothing, not just small, nothing
Yeah.
big there, nothing big. But thank you, C, for being on. We gonna like I said, we gonna try and make it through. But I just need y'all to get into this.
Try to make it through.
The skin is melanated, it's glowing, it's skinning.
You know
Um,
what? That's one of the best investments in 2020. So when did I start getting facials? Probably 2019. No, 2020. It's one of the best investments ever.
skinning. Listen,
Yeah,
skinning. Okay, we're gonna talk about
yeah,
that. Being a mama, so you know why we here, obviously.
definitely.
About carrying it all as a mom. Outside of the bio, y'all heard the bio. She is an amazing mother. Holding it down for the fort, and so. I'm not a mom yet, obviously, but that's something that
You are
obviously
you're a mom in your own way.
I definitely am a
You're a
mama.
mom in your own way.
Definitely am a mama for sure. But I don't have any cubs yet. And so, it's something I desire. So I just look up to you and all the other mothers in my life and like,
Oh
how
my
are they
goodness.
like carrying it all? Like, literally, like everything that you just wrote and like how you're carrying it on. We'll talk about that, with your mom, having to be a mom without your mom. Like, that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I think about that all the time about me having kids. And so I always like to start out and ask, we just gonna get right into it. If you can just tell your story with grief, it could be, your mom, it could be anything, but you can just tell your story so people can understand who my girl C really is.
So tell my story with grief. Oof. So grief, like, kicked the door down in my life when I was just 24 years old. I was a new mom. My son was probably like a year and a half. Yeah, because see, I was 22 when he had him. Yeah, and my mom passed away. And then 3 months after that, my grandmother passed away. So the two women that raised me, both were just like taken within a 90-day span. So my mom had a chronic illness called lupus. She had been diagnosed when she was 25, but at the time that she passed, she appeared to be doing extremely, extremely well.
Mm,
So while it was unexpected, it was still kind of like, well, she did have this condition. So it was very, very, like, when I look back on that time in my life, because it's been 10 years. I'm 34 now. Well, I'm about to be 35, but still, it's been 10 years. But when I look back on like that period of my life in comparison to now, it's just like, I don't really know how I made it, to be
mm.
honest. I mean, outside of God, but it was very, very difficult. It's still very, very difficult because the more I do as a woman, the more I grow as a woman, the more I experience as a mother, to not have that sounding board is the toughest thing. And to not only, like I said, I lost her, then I lost my grandmother. So
Mm.
it's like, not only do I not have my mom, I don't have my grandmother, and then my grandmother didn't have a whole lot of children. So it's not even like I got like aunts and uncles I could pull
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And then being, taking the non-traditional route and being an entrepreneur, that makes it even difficult because most people just don't get it. It's not like I have issues with a supervisor. It's like I got issues with people who think I'm supposed to do what they supposed to tell me to do just because they pay me.
Okay.
So that, like, that, that's my grief story in a nutshell. It's very interesting though how I carry myself in life now because of that experience. Sometimes people can think I can be kind of, standoffish or, not care, but I don't know, it's just a different, it's kind of hard to explain, to be honest. It's kind of hard
Hmm.
to explain. But yeah, it took me a while. I think one of the most interesting parts of my grief story is I remember telling someone that I had to come to a place to understand that my mom had to leave in order for me to become the person that God created me to be. And that was like
Mm.
gut
Mm.
wrenching. It's good. It's still gut wrenching for me to ever say and admit, but it's the truth. So while there are a lot of moments where I do wish she was here, it's also moments where I understand like why she had to go. So it ain't no joke though. It's not no joke. It
Oh
ain't
my
no joke.
God. See, when I tell you just spoke to my whole soul, because I literally told somebody that. I said, obviously, I wouldn't have this podcast or anything if my parents weren't gone. Like none of
Mhm.
that would happen. Like none of who I am would be if they hadn't have left. As annoying and as frustrating as like, God, you have lost it. As that
Yeah.
is, like, ugh, see.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Like you said, it's been 10 years, which is
Mhm.
crazy. It's crazy just how time just it's obviously it's a construct, but it just goes so quick, right?
Mhm.
So, you like you said, you operate in a space where people are like, oh, well, she's standoffish or whatever. Do you think that came from like not wanting to, be connected with people because of the loss? Do you think that came for the grief, or is that something that you felt like you've always had?
So I think once my mom passed, I started putting people in categories. I know for a fact I
Mm.
did. Like, I tell people all the time, and I don't know if this is right or if this is wrong. Probably should talk to my therapist about this, but like I categorize people now, right? So
Mm.
they're like the people who I really, really care for. Most of them say I'm like super emotional now. Like the people that I really, really care for. But the people who, like, if you're not in that box, you probably think I'm mean, or you probably think I just, because I don't have the energy to exert towards things or individuals who I really don't care about, right?
Mm.
Because now my thing is, and I told myself this after my mom passed away. So my mom wasn't a overly affectionate mother. It wasn't an overly affectionate woman, period. Like, I don't even think I ever saw her and my stepdad like kiss
Oh
Like now
wow.
that I'm thinking about it, like like their affection towards each other was always done in private, right? So
Yeah.
because she wasn't like that overly affectionate, give me hug, give me kiss mother, I told myself after she passed away, I never want to leave this earth and people that I care about not know how I felt about them.
Mm.
Now, so that's kind of like tough too, right? Because it's like, well, you don't think your mom didn't care about you. I know my mom loved me like probably more than she loved herself. But as a kid or as a child or as an adult, when something like that suddenly happens and you're like, well, I didn't get to get that hug, or I don't remember the last time we took a picture together. It made me reevaluate how I operated with people that I actually cared about, because we don't know how much time we got left. So
Yeah.
yeah, so like I said, the people who I really rock with, sometimes it's like, oh, you so sensitive or so emotional, or why you always gotta say I love you. It's like, because you gotta know. You gotta know. And
Yes.
then the people who don't know me, they like, it's I meet so many people who's like, when I first met you, I thought you were me. It was like, you didn't know me. And you don't deserve to know that side of me at this juncture of the relationship anyway. So yeah, it definitely changed. It changed how I operate with my kids. It changed a lot. Like, I was never really a hugger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of really not. It just depends on who you are. But
Right.
there are certain things that I've intentionally started to do, just because that is, I don't want to say it's a bad feeling. And once again, I'm not saying that I didn't know that I questioned whether or not my mom, but it's just like that extra layer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
So yeah.
sure. Yeah, no, for sure. You're absolutely right. Because it's certain stuff like now that I even think about, I'm like, I don't think I learned that from my parents. Like I went to therapy and
Yeah.
we were talking about relationships. And obviously my parents were married, but she was like, did you ever have a conversation with your parents about relationships? And I'm like,
Hmm.
no.
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 Yeah. No, like, it's funny you say that, because I mean, we've had, obviously we know each other outside
Right.
this podcast.
Right. Right.
We've been talking about dating lately. And the
Right.
other day, I'm like, I didn't even, once again, I was 24 and I had already had a child. I was in a relationship. It was a stupid one, but like, me and my mom never even had the opportunity to discuss like what dating looks like, or what. Now,
Mm,
I was lucky enough to have a great stepfather who showed me how a woman should be treated.
right.
But me and my mom were just getting in that groove where she was sharing things with me that she went through as a young woman at that time. And we never got to the, like, I know if she was alive now, like, it'll be just the wisdom. I never got to that point. So I
Yeah.
think sometimes, while us as single women, we can be like, I can't believe I allowed that. But then you look back and you're like, well, shit, I didn't. Well, I
It's
didn't
fine.
know.
It's fine. We curse. We curse.
Uh, yeah, but you like, well, I didn't know. And once again, with my situation, like, most people have like older aunts or cousins, or
Hmm.
so I'm the oldest of the cousins, and it's
Oh,
only
so
three of
you
us,
are the
and I don't
one.
even talk to them two.
Yeah.
So, so it's like, being the only and the oldest, you have to get creative in where you get that type of wisdom from. But then you also have to
Mm,
be vulnerable enough to ask for the wisdom. And I'm just getting to that point. Obviously, therapy has helped a lot. I
right.
look at other resources and outlets and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I would say right now, the people I have around me who I'm able to talk to things like that about, I'm blessed to have. But it took a minute. It
Yeah.
took 10 years, because I'm just getting to the point where I'm comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, it's some meanwhile, I'm like, open book, which is not always great. Here
Hmm.
we are. But, so I admire that. Like people, I'm such the opposite. I'm like, life, here's my and I'm like, you probably should dial it back, sis. We talked about that. We talked about that. We were talking about our things with dating. I'm like, I want to talk now. I don't like I want to
Yeah,
talk now. And you're like, no, you can't. Like people don't want to talk now, Lauren. So yeah,
yeah.
like completely get it. So you talked about it a little bit, how that affection thing kind of affected, how you mother your children, right?
Hmm.
And so is there things that you think that if your mother wouldn't have passed would have impacted the way you mothered your children, or maybe no, not really?
I probably no, not really, because so the little time she did have with my oldest son, she was the total opposite that she, like most grandmothers, the total
Right. Turn it to
opposite
a whole
that
you're
she,
like,
yeah, the total opposite that she was with me. And I think, and the things that, to be honest, the things that I do with them now were the things I saw her doing with him when he was younger. So,
Mm.
calling them handsome, giving them hugs, giving them, kisses, things like that. I make sure I'm very, very, um, what's the word? I'm intentional with,
Mhm.
you know, nice haircut, you look nice, um, handsome, all that stuff. My youngest is super, super affectionate. My oldest is not. He's he only wants to give me a hug when he thinks I'm upset with him or something like that. He's getting a little bit better. But my youngest is like, if he could sleep in my skin, he probably would.
Oh, poor
Uh,
kid.
but yeah, like just those little things. Like I don't well, when I became a teen, I think I noticed my mom started doing it more like once I became a teenager, like things
Mhm.
like that. But just and then learning how to parent differently from the way I was raised. Because I had a great childhood, but the world is not the same. And it's like
Yeah.
everything, and not only that, my kids are not me. So learning how to parent differently without that parenting soundboard is also hard, especially when everybody around you is parenting in a traditional way. And they're
Mm.
telling you like, well, that ain't right. And but it's like, well, this is what I'm allowing them to do to become themselves. So it's definitely not peaches and cream.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not peaches and cream.
Like literally, I think about that all the time. I'm like, when I have kids, like I'm not gonna have nobody. So like, let's talk about that. Like you said, your mom was there for a little bit of time, with your son, but
Hmm.
what impact did that make on you? When she did pass, like you have her here for a little bit, but
Uh-huh.
then she passes. It's like, how do I even like navigate? Like, what was that? Like, walk me through that feeling. Look, asking for myself.
Um I think so. I know for it's so funny because me and my friends was talking about this at dinner the other day. The one of the biggest things I did is sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it was right. I don't know if it was wrong. It was just me doing what I thought was right.
Right.
When my mom passed, I didn't let anybody watch my kids. So
Mm,
that's part of the reason why in my 20s, I believe I missed out on a whole lot. Cause it was like if their dad can't sit with them, I'm not going. And at the time, I was with their dad, and he worked a very demanding, um, demanding. He worked a very interesting evening job. So it was just like if he can't, and he worked every single weekend. So I don't want to say my kids kind of took my 20s away from me, but it was like I didn't want anybody else watching them. And then not at that young age. So I had my youngest son when I was 25.
mhm.
So by the time, let me see, 25. So I think my stepdad finally started watching them like overnight and stuff. Maybe when I was like, cause so I filed for divorce right before I turned 30.
Mhm.
So he started watching them when I was like 30. So by now they're like, what, maybe, how old were they? So
Yeah, but
20,
that's still a long time though. See, 24 to
yeah,
29 that
yeah,
you like,
like
no, that's a
literally
long time.
that entire period of my 20s was all about, all I did was go to work, watch my kids, go to work, watch my kids. So it was very, very difficult. Like I don't so one thing about me, look, I'm transparent and I'm honest. Like I can
Yeah,
honestly say, well, so I did have to think twice about my second son. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
it be
I
like
I
that.
legit I legit thought twice about it. But also at the same time, I thought the relationship with their father was gonna work. If
Mm,
I knew what I knew now, things would definitely be different.
right.
But it was definitely a different dynamic because I didn't trust anybody to watch my kids. Not only that, like right after my mom passed, me and my stepdad actually got into it really, really bad. So he wasn't even
Mhm.
around. So now it's just like, and I'm just gonna be frank. I didn't even trust their father's family enough to like to where I wanted to leave them. It because my thing was, yes, as a man, your job is to make sure they have diapers, et cetera, et cetera. But as a mother, if something happens to them, that's on me.
That's right.
And
That's
I
right.
didn't, I didn't, I didn't trust anyone enough to do it. And at that time, a lot of my friends, they didn't have kids. Like a lot of
Mhm.
my friends are just like one of my friends, her son is 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
CJ is 5. So two different, like, you know what I'm saying, life,
Yeah.
not life paths, but two different phases of life. And one of my close friends, she literally just had her son. So it was back, like it was tough. And I was telling my friends at dinner over the weekend, like I think that's why I be outside so much. Because I didn't do anything in
So I
my
wasn't
20s.
outside of my 20s. Yeah.
I didn't do anything in my 20s, but I would rather be outside now than then, though.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
you talk
Tear
about
down.
stupid decisions back then. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. But the dynamic of, it's tough. Now, I will say the flip side of it, because this also kind of ushers into the dynamic of me being an entrepreneur without, I don't have the pressure of other people's opinions. Like, so, sometimes when you're raising kids or whatever you're doing in your life, the
Hmm.
people whose opinions that matter the most are your parents,
For
point blank,
sure.
period.
For sure.
And I can honestly say, for me, it's a gift and a curse,
Mm.
because nobody else's opinion like matters that much to where you're gonna stop me from doing what I want to do. Like,
Yep.
I know for a fact when it came time for me to quit my job, my mama probably wouldn't have been like, quit your job.
Yeah.
Probably would not have.
Yeah. Right.
Same thing with parenting. Like, it's because there are different things that I want to try and introduce to my children. I don't have anybody in the back of my mind saying, well, this is not how it's supposed to go. Which, once
Hmm.
again, it's like a gift and a curse. So you get the opportunity to do things your way, but you also have to live with the fact that you still got to figure all this out on your own, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense because you're absolutely right. Like once that is gone, you're like, I mean, I appreciate your opinion, but not for real. Like
Right.
kind of for real,
Right.
but not in real life. Because
Yeah,
like you said,
definitely.
like this woman, this is my mama. Like, what are you talking
Hmm.
about? If my mom says it's good, then I'm gonna go. If she says it's
Yep.
bad, I'm gonna take that heavily into account. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, like I mean, I
It
because
it be deep. It be deep.
it's crazy. It,
It'd be super deep. Cause
like,
like I say, as much as I know for me, as much as I miss my mother, it'd be some things I'd be looking at. I'd be like, I don't even know if I would even think the. Now, don't get me wrong. I've always been extremely ambitious.
right.
Like, none. I don't think any of that would have changed. But like I said, like sometimes, like that in the back of your mind and not wanting to disappoint your parents, that's a
Mhm.
real thing.
Mhm.
Like, I still carry that now. Like, it's certain things that I feel like I can't allow my mother's death to go in vain. So with certain things I have to accomplish. And while I know she's proud, because I've done quite a bit since she's been gone, it's like sometimes in the back of my mind, it's like, now we got to do this. Now we got to do that. Like, I told you I'm about to be 35 in less than 30 days. And I'm
Yeah.
terrified because it's like it's still certain things that I should have checked off by now.
Mhm.
So, and that's still a gift and a curse. It's all a
Mhm.
gift and a curse.
Yeah, yeah, but no, girl, literally, I have an episode topic about the grief of trying to make your parents proud, and they're not even
Yeah.
like there because it's a
Yeah.
real thing that we carry. But like me and you talked about the other day, it's always going to be something. You're
Always.
never going to get to like oh, I'm supposed to be here, and then when you get there, you're like oh, I'm supposed to be. It's never going to happen because
Never.
it's like I they died. I can't let them like their
Mhm.
legacy go down. It's like, okay, yeah, you're not letting their legacy go down. What about your legacy? Like
Yeah.
you can hold on to their legacy forever, but you gotta at some point create your own.
Mhm.
So like it woo!
It's deep.
Let's talk about this carrying it as a mother because my
Woo.
friend's mom said, I love her. Stephanie George, Steffi, honey, real Southern Belle. She told my friend has a child. She said, when you have a baby, and she's married, she was like, that's
Uh-huh.
yo baby. She
Okay.
said, I understand that you married, but that's yo baby. Like, that's your husband's
Oh,
child, but
me.
that's yo baby. Like, that's
Okay.
yo child. When it come out your womb, that's your, and because, like you said, like, yes, the man is provides and he's a great dad and he takes care, but that's your baby. Like,
Mhm.
it just is what it is. And so, I feel like a lot of times as mothers, there's a lot of, you feel like you're not being the best mother, or there's always a question in your mind, or am I doing this right? Like, because again, especially not having your mom, you're like,
Mhm.
there's no handbook on parenting. Like, there
None.
are, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you should do this, but like, as a mother, like, how do you even carry that, especially being an entrepreneur, right? Especially
Yeah.
having this amazing business, right? Like, maybe the better so first question is how do you carry it, and then why do you think that as mothers we carry that?
And you said, why do we carry? What is it? The grief of? Mothering?
Being a mom,
Oh,
everything.
oh yeah. So you said the first question is how?
How? Right? How?
How I do is I drink a lot of champagne. I drink a lot of champagne, a lot of vodka tonics. So no,
Oh, that girl said
so
alcohol.
how I to be honest,
Oh, I'm sorry. See, that
to
tickled my
to
spirit.
to be honest, Lo, I think it's keeping the main thing, right? Because I like
Mm.
lately I've been going my biggest battle lately because my son will be 12 on Thursday, and then I have a 9-year-old, and it's like the syndrome of this whole, especially with my 12, he's a preteen, right?
Oh
The
Lord.
whole I'm okay with you being mad at me right now in order for you to not grow up and become a bum. And
Mm,
I had to be okay with that. Like I don't get me wrong. I'm here to have a great relationship with you. I'm here for you to be open and willing to come and tell me anything, but at this juncture in your life, I'm not your best friend. And
right.
I had to be okay with being okay feeling like that. Like you can
Mm,
be mad at me all you want. My biggest thing is I can I think because so one of our mutual friends, Marco, always
yeah,
says, you don't know if you're a great parent until your child grows up, right?
that's true. That's very
I don't my biggest thing is I want to be able to sleep at night knowing I did everything that I could do. Cause at the end of the day, even when they grow up, they still gonna make their own decisions.
that's
No
right.
matter what you showed them, they
Mm-hmm.
can always say that that wasn't enough for them. But I know I'll be able to sleep at night knowing that I did all that I can. So like, what does that mean? So experiences, resources, support. So I carry it all just by focusing on the type of men I want them to become because who they are right
Mm,
now, while I can control it, I can't. And I know that a lot of it is phase, right?
yeah,
I had a phase where I was tripping. I was
yeah,
in
of
high
course.
school though.
Oh,
But I
same.
had a phase, where I was tripping. So I just carry it all by trying to be the best example of a mother and human and woman that I can be, right? And if my
Mm,
kids don't learn anything else from me, like seriously, if they don't learn anything else from me, I want them to always be able to say that my mom showed me that I can be and do whatever I want to be, and I don't have to go with the traditional narrative. That's to be honest, that's the most important thing for me is for
yeah,
them to understand and know that.
yeah.
If they understand and know that, everything else is like it's on you, son.
Right. I did what I need to do.
Yeah, like it because I truly believe if they take that and they run with it, they're going to fly like they're going to make me so proud that they probably won't even believe it. But that's the most important thing for me is to just to be the example. Is that's how I carry it. Like even
Mm,
I mean even with the whole virtual school, like I've been having mommy guilt since the pandemic because
mm.
it's like okay, you want virtual school, you need help. Well, I got to call. You know what I'm saying? So now we got
Right,
to wait. So it's been a lot, and them being in virtual school don't make it no better. Because when they were, in school, when school is out, I'm home. That's it. I don't have any more work. Now we can do what we need to do. But
right.
yeah, I carry it all just by trying to be the absolute best example that I can be, and then just giving them showing them and talking to them about things that I didn't talk about when I was 12 and I was 9. Like my
Mm.
9-year-old for his birthday, he wanted an investment account. I didn't know what the hell an investment account was when I was 9 years
Okay. Was
old.
not talking about none of that.
Yeah, so
I want
yeah,
to buy.
that I don't focus on like the stuff that frustrates me every day. I focus on okay, what are they going to be able to take away when they become 16, 17, 18 and ultimately a full grown adult like that's what brings me at ease. Because if I focused on the little things that upset me every day about being a mom, I don't know if I would make it.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
But the champagne and the vodka tonics helps too.
Go somewhere with your
Definitely.
champagne and
Definitely.
that helps. That helps a lot. Like, because I think about it for, because what you said is good. Like you said, I'm not focusing on the everyday things because in the mommy guilt, I hear that all the time from
Yeah.
my friends, like, oh my God, I have mommy guilt, and I saw a reel the other day and it was this lady and she's trying to cook and the baby just on her. And she's
Yeah.
like having all of these thoughts of like, oh my God, like I can't cook and I can't hold you and I can't, like how do you come like your kids are older now, right? You
Yeah.
know, but even when they were younger, like how do as a mother, do you even, you know, I know you focus on that, like you said, you know, being the best that you can be, like, but how do you combat those feelings of feeling like I don't know what, because I feel like moms go through that all the time, right? Like, I don't know what I'm doing as a mother. Like, did you ever have those feelings? And if you did, like, how do you combat those feelings?
Um, I think the one time I kind of felt like that, I haven't. Well, with my oldest, you know, it depends on the day with him, right?
Right.
Uh,
Being
but
preteen,
so
just like you said.
I think one of the most humbling moments as a parent was when me and their father finally decided to get like an actual divorce.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest was in kindergarten and their dad moved out, and he did a total 360 in school, started acting out. Like, and his teachers knew him. Thank God he had good enough teachers that was like, wait a minute, this
This
is
is
not
weird.
him.
Yeah.
What's really going on? So I told the teacher, and the teacher was like, that's what it is. He like any small thing would just make him go off. And it was like
Mm,
having to have that conversation with him to be like, so he's still your daddy. He's just not gonna live here. And then everything switched. That was a very humbling moment for me as a parent, because I think, you know, the way we were raised, it's almost like you a child, you stand in a child's place, you don't even understand. Like our parents just, well, at least mine didn't. They
yeah.
just didn't take into consideration the things that they were doing in their life and how it would affect us. For
Hmm.
example,
Yeah.
and I don't believe this affected me negatively, but I just know, I just vividly remember when my stepdad came into the picture. I just came home from school one day and he was there. I had never met the man a day in my life, and he never left. Like, and he never left. He wasn't a bad person. My mom just like introduced him, and I'm just like, and once again, so as back then as a kid, you like, okay, just this is what adults do. But
Right.
when you get older, you like, was that really healthy?
Right. Like, I don't think
And
that was
like,
good. I don't think that was
not
great.
and not only that, so my mom was really good about keeping. She only So outside of my real father, my mom had one other boyfriend that I vividly remember, really nice guy named Derek, who lived with us, and then my stepdad, who had been with us since I was in third grade. But even when she broke up with Derek, like, I hope his faith. Well, they don't know my mom, but anyway, but
I don't know him.
even when she broke up with Derek, like I remember, I just came home one day and he was gone, and it was just, and I'm like, well, so it's like things like that. So understanding that, you know, our kids aren't us, but that
Mm,
moment was a very, very humbling moment for me as a parent. The other time that I feel like I didn't know what I was doing, probably sometimes with my oldest son. And I think primarily, so while I do have siblings, I was raised for the majority of my life as an only child. So
mm.
I'm not used to like dealing with, why y'all not getting along? Oh, he looking at me.
Right.
He
Right.
touched my bed. I was about to play. Like, I'm not used to like having to deal with that conflict, because I
I
didn't
didn't
deal with
have to
that. I didn't
conflict with
have
anyone.
that.
Right.
So when it comes to the sibling dynamic, and then like boys who are in the what's the word, the puberty stage, like
Hmm.
I would probably say then, and then like a little bit now with my oldest, because my oldest is, he's very different. He's
Hmm.
not, he's way different from my than I was. He's way different from his brother. So it's like, you know, sometimes now it's like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with these two
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
gonna lie, but you know, I I go with the flow.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Overall, though, I have good kids. They just different.
They're just in different fact. Listen, that preteen, my nephew is 13. I'll be looking at him like, boy, I'm like, were we like this as children? Like, I always say that. I'm like, were we like it was this
and
little
that's
girl the other day. I'm like, I don't think I was like that.
I will honestly say that's probably one of the things I miss about my mom not being here right now. Because I always want to know, like, was I like this? I
Yeah.
don't ever remember having the attitude because I had to wake up.
Yeah.
I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Right.
actually, I enjoyed school. Like, my mom only
Yeah.
had to tell me one time. I
You
knew
was
I
done.
couldn't come in the house with no C. I
Oh
knew
yeah,
I couldn't.
definitely wasn't an option.
Everything getting unplugged.
Yeah, definitely wasn't an option. It was like,
So
see
yeah,
who? Sierra. That's it.
right, right. Right. She always said, "You, your ass ain't slow." That was her favorite. Don't come here with no C. Your ass is not slow.
Not slow.
That was her favorite line.
Ooh, that tickled my spirit. Ooh, shout
My mama
out.
was a. People always say
That is funny.
I used to get I get it from my mama. My
You
mama
got
was
an honest.
hilarious,
You got an honest.
hilarious.
See, that is funny. You ain't slow. What?
Yeah. No, your ass ain't slow.
Oh,
Not
my bad.
you ain't. Your ass ain't slow. That's what I'm telling you. My
Oh,
friends used to
God.
come to my house just
Ooh,
to laugh. Mama,
ooh, that is
when she used to
funny.
come, they used to come
Boy,
to
you
my
got me
house
in
just to
tears.
laugh.
That's funny. Ooh, that is funny. Ooh, that is funny. But no, for real, that is good though. See, because literally, I'd be like, I really don't think I was like that, and I really
Yeah.
want to ask my mama. I'm like, was I acting like that? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like
No.
these little girls these days. I feel like these little boys. I'm like, is this what y'all talk about at 13?
Yeah.
I didn't know what
Yeah.
any of that was. I was like, was I just sheltered? Like, what is going on? So, ooh,
The world is so different. Like when
yeah,
I was 12, so sixth grade, yeah, when I was 12 and 13, I was always outside with my friends. These
same.
kids don't even have no friends. They in the
Child, that
metaverse or
gaming.
something.
Yeah.
Right.
The metaverse. They online talking to each other through the headphones. I'm like, where they at?
Right.
They're like, they're in Slovakia. Huh?
Like how do you even know where that is?
Correct. I'm like, what language are they speaking? Well, obviously English, auntie. Oh, okay. All right. Forgive me.
Hilarious.
Forgive me. But no, that's real. That's real. Like it like you said,
Yeah.
especially boys, and especially like get into that preteen age, and this when they start smelling themselves a little bit,
Mm.
and you just have to swiftly
Smell on,
remind
brother.
them. Listen,
I tell my I've been telling my oldest son, like, keep playing, you gonna go live with your daddy.
because I'm not
Keep
gonna do it.
playing,
I'm
I'ma
not gonna
ship
do
you
it.
right on off.
I'm
Your
not gonna
daddy
do
or
it.
your grandfather,
Right.
choose one.
You're gonna be with a man because I'm not doing it.
Yeah, you're not about to stress me out.
Right. Mama's skin is glowing and it's gonna stay this way. Okay.
And so, but the crazy thing is, like, even with those thoughts, I start thinking like, well, am I wrong for thinking that? I don't think so.
Mm,
I don't think so. You have a
mm,
you, and the crazy thing is, I remember because, like I said, the majority of my life I was raised as the only child, but I have two step brothers. But I remember when they became probably my kids' age, they came and lived with us because that's
mm.
where their daddy was.
Oh yeah.
So
Mama was like, "What I'm not gonna do is play with you."
yeah, no, he literally like told their mother like when they became a certain age, he wanted his sons to live with him, and she was okay with that
That makes sense. My
because
friend's
some
son did the same
there
thing.
yeah there are just some things you know a mother cannot provide to a son.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's
So
true. Literally, my friend's son just moved to him. He just turned 19 because his mom was like, "You're gonna have to do something because I don't have it in me." So it's like, okay.
I'ma kill him.
Literally, she was like, either you take him or he gonna be outside. I don't
Yeah,
like either way. He gonna have to get up out of here, and
yeah.
and that's what they've had to do. So I get it, but why do you think, as mothers, you carry all that on your shoulders? Because obviously, like you said, he has his dad there, but
Hmm.
like, why? Like, why do we as women do that? Like, I gotta make sure I am the superwoman complex, right? Why do we have
Right.
that superwoman complex?
So I think there's a combination of things, right? I think. Well, I know for me, it comes from I ain't got nobody to call when I need help, right? So
Mm,
it's like I've I've put these I don't want to say unrealistic because I think everything that I want to achieve in life is extremely realistic. So okay, so let me first thing, I don't with me knowing I don't have anyone or anything to fall back on from a traditional family sense perspective, and
mhm.
I want to be careful how I say that because there are people who help me with my children that I'm extremely grateful for, and some of these people aren't even my biological family, and I
Right,
know right now if I call them they gonna say drop them off, right?
right, right.
But it's still sometimes me knowing that they don't have to do this, and like sometimes even feeling guilty asking them for that type of assistance. So
Mm,
for me a lot of times is I want to put things in place or put myself and my family in a position to where if something happens, we don't really need nobody help. You know what I mean?
mm,
Which is a
mhm.
gift and a curse again.
Yes.
A lot of these things are a gift and a curse. Like even now, my kids are at an age where like I've tested, okay, I'm gonna go to the grocery store, y'all sit here. Because I remember being staying at home with myself a lot by
Oh, for
myself
sure.
when
Mhm.
I was a little bit younger than
Definitely
them.
was a
So
latchkey kid.
Right, right. So I think part of it for me is like just having things in place to where they don't kind of sort of need anybody, which I don't even know if that's healthy or not. So that's kind of like where my superwoman complex comes from. Also, once again, I just know like shit hit the fan for me. I ain't got nobody to call.
Yeah.
Not and when I say that, I think I'm speaking more from a financial place. Like I ain't got nobody to borrow 20,000. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. So this the superwoman complex for me is just like making sure I'm good, making sure they good. But then where sometimes I mess up at, it's like, okay, I care about you, so I gotta make sure you good. I care about you, so I gotta
Mm,
make sure you good. I gotta figure out how to put you in a position, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I explained that right,
yeah.
but
No, you did.
it's
Yeah.
and it is definite. I think all of it is somewhat a gift and a curse because it makes you more ambitious. It makes you
Mm,
go harder, but sometimes you uh you don't realize how much of how much you're taking on that you probably don't necessarily need to take on. I at one point in my life I forgot how to ask for help. I'm
mm,
starting to remember how to do so again now. Um like that's something that I'm legitimately making intentional this year is asking for help. Um, yeah, it's and then the other part of it is that sometimes the people who do really want to help you, you can make them feel away if you're continuously saying, "Well, me and my kids don't have anybody," or "Me and my kids don't," or "I don't." I learned that
mhm.
the hard way as well. Like that could make people who genuinely want to help you and who genuinely will help you, that can make them feel like you don't really rock with them like that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's
I
funny.
think it's essentially it's a coping mechanism. I'm sorry.
No,
That's what the
no, you're
superwoman
right.
complex is.
It ooh, that's good. See,
Yeah, it's
that's
the
good.
coping mechanism.
Yeah. But like to your point though, I think you said something really important there. Not only like are you trying to make sure like you're good, your kids are good, your family's good, right? Like, but you're also like, but I want to put you in position too. But I also want to put you in position too. Like I want to save you. Like I want to save you. I want to save the you can't save everybody around you.
No, you can't. And I think sometimes me thinking like that or wanting to help people in that manner comes from me thinking like and this is another I don't know if it's realistic or if it's like almost kind of like a negative way to think, but sometimes I just be thinking in my mind like you're not always going to have your parents. So I know what it feels like to have
Mm,
that taken from up under you without you knowing it's going to happen. So let me kind of I don't want to say prepare you for it, but if I can help
yeah,
you do this, then when that happens, it won't be as bad. It's still going to be terrible, but you won't be left feeling like, you know what I'm saying?
that's
And to
good.
be honest, those little nudges, if you will, is just opening up the conversation about life insurance. Like, do
That's
you
good
know how
stuff.
much life insurance your parent had? And when I say putting people in position, that's what I mean. Not necessarily like, but it's like just those little conversations. Like, do your parents have a trust? Does your mom have a will? You do not want to go to probate court. Like you don't, those small little things.
No, that's girl. You know how I feel about all of that. Okay, then did whole episodes on them. Cause what? You got to go
Yeah,
fund me to pay for the
yeah,
funeral? Excuse you?
yeah,
Sends me over the edge every time I see it. I'm like,
yeah.
especially us African Americans. So if you are
And
listening,
definitely,
it's
for whatever reason, black people scared to talk about death like it's not gonna happen.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I don't. It's just again the society, the culture that we're in. Clearly, that's why we're here talking about it because we have to talk. Like it's going to happen. Like
Mm-hmm.
whether it's death, whether it's any other type of loss. Like what does that look like? Either you
Yep.
can act like it's not going to happen, and like you said, it's going to be terrible
Mm-hmm.
regardless, or you can at least like know and have a little bit of a teach, not a lot, just a teach of peace when it
Yeah.
happens to say, okay, well, at least, they had life insurance, so we don't have to worry
Yeah.
about this. Or, we don't, like you said, we don't have to go to probate court, or I don't have an estranged sibling that I'm arguing with, right? Like, because
Right.
all of that stuff will
Happen.
happen. It can
Like
happen.
I couldn't imagine having to, even though I know I didn't properly grieve, but I couldn't imagine my mother passing away and the first thing I had to think about was how I'm a barrier.
Gr-
I could not imagine like
You
that
might as
being
well
my
put me next.
experience.
Just put us both in the ground next to each other, because I'm about to die too.
I could not imagine that being my experience. I
Mm-mm.
just, mm-mm, nah.
Mm-mm. It's too much. Again, it's too much. So if you are listening, please listen to me and see. We'll both bear it our mothers. It is extreme, like the weight. I read something today, literally today, and it said within the first 24 to 48 hours of someone passing away, someone has to make at least 150 decisions. 150 decisions from the time that someone dies to 24 hours after. Do
Yep.
you know the amount of grief that is laying on top of you in that moment? And then you want me to make 150 decisions. And if one of them is how I'm gonna bury you, put me,
Right.
how am I gonna bury
Or
myself?
what dinners we gonna sell this weekend to bear?
Good.
Like, no. What's the menu? Nah.
Do you hear me? Put me next to him. Because I'm going
No.
to. I'm not doing this. Like,
Like it's yeah, you and it's so funny you say the 150 decisions, right? Because like I literally had to 24 years old, had to plan my mother's funeral. Like my stepdad was a mess. He didn't even come out the room like he was just a total mess. Like I had to do everything. And
mhm,
it may be more than 100. It's so many decisions.
so many.
So many
So
decisions.
many. Like so
I
many little
didn't
things.
I didn't even cry I finally cried when my mom died when we pulled up to the funeral home the day of the funeral. In between the day that I held her hand and watched her take her last breaths up and like from that moment, I didn't cry then. I didn't cry when I had to go down before they put her in the freezer in the morgue. It took all the way up because once again, also the way I was raised, it was like I got shit to do. So like this is done. Now let's go on with
Next.
these 200 decisions that I gotta make.
Right.
And it wasn't until we pulled up to the funeral home and I was like, shit. Like
This is
we are
real.
at my mother's funeral. Well,
Right.
well, well.
This is a thing.
Well, well, well. It wasn't until that and yeah, it's you do not want to be figuring out what the menu is to sell dinners.
I promise.
Yeah, you don't want to
I
do it.
promise
Like
you don't want to be trying to figure
you
out how
do
you're gonna
not
get the
want to
money.
do it.
I promise, because you're not gonna
Woo,
want
you
them.
don't.
You're not gonna. First of all, you're not gonna want them in the morgue that long. You're not, because you're gonna be like, oh my god, they're just sitting there, and then I just can't. Right, and then like,
Then they calling you.
right, right. They're like,
Yeah,
hi, and you're like, so now it's like, well, can you go get them? But then when you go get them, how long are they gonna be sitting there? And then it's like, because after a while, like you have to embalm them within a certain amount of time. Like all of these
it's
things are
yeah,
happening. All of these things are
yeah.
happening. And if you're the one in your family, like C and I were, who had to literally like plan things because, again, like your stepdad, my dad, what? I'm like, hello. So, like, and I'm 27. I'm like, anyone. And I had siblings. So that's a whole nother dynamic, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I ain't have to worry about that.
right, right. So imagine 150 plus another 50 because you got four siblings over here. So like you
Yeah,
don't want to do that. So I know we just, we were talking about motherhood, but we just had to put that caveat in there that mothers, fathers, whoever is listening, please get your life insurance together, get your will together, get a trust together, get a
get
living
it
trust
all.
together. Please get your estate plan. I have a whole episode about that on season 4.
Two, is it?
I think it's season 2, episode 1. I'm gonna put it in the show notes, but literally go listen to it. She talks about it, like what you need to have, especially if you have stepchildren, what that looks like, if you have a blended family, like all of that. Like,
If you have little kids, period. Because while your life insurance policy can go to your kids, if you die before they're of age, you have to assign who is over that money.
exactly.
And the coolest thing is you can do it to like what's paid out per like it's important if you have children.
Mhm. If someone is listening to this episode, a mother,
Hmm.
soon to be mother, anybody who is like, how do you carry it all? What is the biggest takeaway you want them to take with them listening to this episode?
The biggest so one mother soon to be my I would say so I learned probably over the last year and a half how to really really take time for myself and not feel guilty about it.
Mm.
I think I'm a master at it now. Like I'm gone. See y'all next week. So I think that right there is one of the most important things I wish I would have learned early on in motherhood. Especially with the dynamic of being an entrepreneur. So do not feel bad about taking a moment. Like even now, like if my typically my kids are home Monday through Friday. They leave Friday afternoon, they come home Sunday night. So I legit only get one day a
Mm,
week where I do not have my children. I sometimes during the week I have to tell them, give me an hour. Give me an hour. Don't talk to me. Don't ask me anything. I need an hour. And I used to feel guilty about that. But the truth is, and we hear it all the time, like if you're not well, you can't take care of anybody else. You being stressed, frustrated, and tired, you gonna yell at them for no reason.
that's
You
right.
know, and then I even started getting up well when they were in school and when they are in school, hopefully they're going back next week. Like getting up an hour before I wake them up to have my quiet time. That way my energy is softer when I'm waking them up versus waking up yelling because they don't want to get out the bed. So taking that, and you probably need to take time for yourself every single day. Like it'd be moments where I'll pull up to the house. I'm sitting in the car for 30 minutes because I just need to. That's the biggest thing I can say to any mother. Is but especially if you're a mother in business, like you need that time. Like and my kid's father. Hope he ain't watching this. Um, at some point, like even used to try to make me feel guilty about like, so you're not gonna talk to your kids. You didn't talk to your kids on Saturday. Well, they're with me every other day of the week. I
Right.
can have a day where I don't call them.
They're with you.
You
They
know
can
what I'm
talk to
saying?
you.
Yeah. So like I said, they're here Monday through Friday. They leave Friday afternoon. They come back on Sunday. So one day a week that I don't see my children. It is okay for you to have your time and decide this is a no kids moment. This is a no kids day. It's probably the healthiest thing I've ever done. And I just started doing it. Like I said, maybe I would say right kind of like when outside opened after the pandemic. That's kind of
Mhm.
when I was like intentional about like these kids not about to drive me crazy. Cause they're gonna grow up, they're gonna have their own life. And if you don't get used to it now, you're gonna be tripping when they get older anyway. So yeah,
Mm.
that's my little, my last little thing.
No, that's good. See, that's good. I mean, that's important though. Like that's
Yeah,
real. Like you said, they're gonna grow up and go, and then you're gonna be like, well, what am I doing?
yeah, yeah,
Hey, hey, Lauren. Hey, see, like,
yeah.
hey, girl,
You
what do
gotta
you like? What do you
That's
want to
it.
do?
Yeah, that's also yeah. You gotta learn how to build a life outside of your children. And I used to think that was crazy when people told me that, but I get it now because they do grow fast. They grow
Hmm.
super fast. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Like you said, you in a place it's like, dang, you don't even want to hug me. Like, when
yeah. The
they're
older,
younger, they up
yeah,
under you, and now you're like, oh, you don't even want to talk to me. Cool.
definitely,
God,
definitely.
no, that's good. See, this is amazing.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Amazing. Thank you for coming on and just being
Of
vulnerable and
course.
just sharing, so many gems and just what motherhood is and what it looks like. Because again, like it's something I desire. I look up to you and all the other mothers in my life, right?
Ah,
Oh my God.
and this something I don't talk about a lot either. So
Yeah.
it was cool. It was refreshing.
Good. Good. A fresh perspective. Look.
Right.
Sorry. See, where can they find you? Because I'm not going to play with you no more today. Thanks.
Everything is my first and last name at Cierra Seay, CIERRASEAY.
And
Everything.
she gonna get mad at me, but she has a podcast dropping soon.
I was looking like, what are you about to say?
She has a
Yeah.
podcast dropping
Speaking of
soon.
that, I have an idea, but we'll talk.
Look, I was like, all right, y'all, I'm gonna get to this wrap up so I can get to this idea. Thanks, C. You're the best.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Y'all, my girl C. That's my girl. My girl C. I hope just listening to that, especially being a mother, even if you desire to be a mother like I do, right? That you can do it all, right? But you don't have to do it all. And doing it all can look different for different people, right? And that at the end of the day, there's no playbook, there's no guide, there's no specific set of rules when it comes to raising a child, and you're just doing the best that you can, right? I think that's the biggest thing that I took away from her is that you're doing the best that you can with the information that you can, especially if you lost your mother and you're trying to navigate this world and navigate motherhood without having your mother present or any of, either of your parents present, right? You're just doing the best you can. You're doing the best you can. And even though you are Superwoman, and you can carry it all, you don't have to carry it all, right? Like it's not necessary to carry it all. Um, because at the end of the day, you have to, like she said at the end, what I love what she said at the end when she was talking about the self-care, right? Like how I can't take care of anybody if I'm not well, right? And I think a lot of times, I know with a lot of my friends who I talk to, I'm always like, what's your biggest goal? Like where they're like making sure I have some time away from me, and they're married, right? Like some of them are married, but they have kids. They're like making sure I take time for me, because if I'm not taking care of me, I can't take care of anybody, kids, husband, colleagues, business partners, whatever, right? And so I think like her just saying that was really, really important to highlight that you have to take care of yourself. If that's like she said, sit in the car 30 minutes before you go in the house, right? Or if that's telling your kids, hey, mommy needs an hour, and not feel guilty about that, right? Teach it, because what that does is teach your children boundaries, right? And it teaches them boundaries like that y'all have with each other, and then that they can also have boundaries as well, right? And so talking about that, right? And just really knowing that if you take care of yourself, superwoman, then superwoman can take care of others, right? Because you can't be superwoman and you can't, be any of that. Is it Lois Lane? Is Lois Lane superwoman? I don't know. But I'm sorry if you're a Marvel head. Don't be mad at me. I'm so sorry. But Superwoman can't take care of everybody. She not taking care of herself. Superwoman can't save the world if she doesn't get sleep. Superwoman can't save herself if she doesn't get quiet, right? Like Superwoman can't make dinner and take care of the kids and all that if she's not unplugging and uncharging and able to like get that energy to be able to do that, right? And so, Superwoman, I know that you are out there doing amazing things, Superwoman. I know that you have grief of thinking that sometimes you're not enough, or, maybe you're not doing it right as a mother. Superwoman, I know that you have to carry it all, because whose burden is it to carry but if not your own, right? I know all of those things, right? But I want you to know that also, you're important, you matter, your feelings matter in this situation as well, right? And that you are more than enough, that you can carry it all, even though you don't have to, right? Also, like carrying heavy is, what is it? Heavy is she who wears the crown, right? I know that it's heavy, but just know that sometimes you don't have to carry it all, even though you can. Sometimes you don't have to, so make sure you lean on that part of it as well, right? Allow the help, like C was saying, allow people to be able to pour into your life in the way that you pour into others, right? And as I always end the episode, as you're going through the journey of trying to, be superwoman and try to carry it all, and trying to be everything for everybody, but also find time to take care of yourself, right? Be kind to yourself and give yourself grace, because if you don't, who will? That is it, you guys. That's it. Thank you so much again for listening to another week's episode of This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief. If you're not already, follow me on social media at This Too Shall Suck podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and on, I don't have a Twitter. Nope, don't have a Twitter. And on LinkedIn. Make sure you're staying plugged in there. But if you don't have social media, shoot me an email. I love, love, love talking to you. Send me an email at hello@thistooshallsuckpodcast.com. And this episode and every single episode is produced by my amazing producer, Mike Sick. And every piece of music that you hear on this episode is produced by my amazing producer, Jimmy Samaj. You guys, I love you all so much. And I'm sending you love and light in your life because you deserve it. I'll see you on the next episode. Mwah. All right, my loves, I hope you all enjoyed that episode. You can actually listen to This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief, on all listening platforms. And make sure, if you're not already, following me on social media on Instagram and on Facebook at This Too Shall Suck podcast. And you can hit my website as well, learn more about your girl, Loryn Denise, at www.thistooshallsuckpodcast.com. If you love this episode, if it resonated with you, make sure you hit that like button. Let me know, because I know I need to make more videos like that for you. And meet me in the comments. Let's talk about it. I love, love, love talking to y'all. And make sure you definitely hit that little bell, that little subscribe button. Thank you guys as always, and I'll see you on the next episode.